Colleagues and friends, we're starting right now. So the forum will now hold a plenary session on the topic social development, youth solution for an inclusive future. And I would like to welcome our distinguished speakers, Madam Naveen member of the Global Refugee Youth Network and of Shilic Kakuma. Madam Alejandra Tentle of the Millennials Movement, and Mr. Charles Katanga, our Director for the Division for Inclusive Social Development at the DESA here at the Secretariat of the United Nations. I'm also pleased to welcome the moderator for this session, sitting there behind a bit, Mr. Naveen Gautam, the Senior Legal Researcher at the Global Forum for Communities Discriminated on Work and Decent Youth Constituency. So now I give the floor to Mr. Moderator to conduct the discussion. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, President. Excellencies, youth leaders, friends and colleagues, Jai Bhim, Salam, Namaste. I'm honored to welcome you to this very critical plenary session on social development and inclusion at the ECOSOC Youth Forum 2025. My name is Naveen Gautam, representing the stakeholders group of communities discriminated on work and decent, and global focal point for a major group of children and youth. And I'm deeply honored to be moderating today's plenary session because I come from the Dalit community in India, one of the most systematically marginalized communities across the globe, facing deep-rooted caste-based discrimination on work and decent. To be standing here, to be moderating this global platform, it's just not personal, it's political. It's a huge, huge moment for our youth, for our communities, especially those who are marginalized, and for all those who have long been kept at the margins and have been victims of notions of purity and pollution. I'm not the only one, and there are around 270 million people across the globe facing similar issues. So let's have a huge round of applause for every single individual sitting in this hall and outside who have ensured that this happens. Come on, louder, louder, come on. I know it's the last session, but let's show more energy, come on. Thank you, thank you. So what brings us here today? It's almost been 30 years since world leaders made bold commitments at the first World Social Summit at Copenhagen. And yet for many of us youth across Global South, from indigenous groups, from informal settlements, from displaced communities, from communities discriminated on work and decent, those promises are still a work in progress. And today, we face compounding social crisis and exclusion, gender equality, housing, mental health, decent work, exclusion, access to justice, and threats of misinformation and digital violence. And yet youth from the marginalized community are not sitting idle or on the sidelines. We are organizing, we are mobilizing, and we are leading solutions across the globe. Over the past year, the Major Group for Children and Youth has been a driving progressive, youth-led roadmap towards the second World Summit for Social Development in Qatar, centering grassroots youth voices, organizing both virtual and community consultations, and advocating for collective youth priorities to inform every step of the negotiation process. We are democratizing knowledge through Children and Youth Info Hub, making information on the Social Summit and its progress and process accessible to young people and supporting them to take action. And we are making youth voices heard every step of the way, from CSOC-D to Third Committee and now here today at the ECOSOC Youth Forum. And it's my pleasure to begin this session by introducing our panel. We have Ms. Alejandra Tentle, I hope I've pronounced the name correct, Alejandra, who's a young Afro-Mexican feminist and activist. She's a member of the Millennials Movement and the Tembembe Center for Afro-Mexican Studies, where her work focuses on bringing visibility to Afro-Mexican history in order to support the identity and representation of her community. And then we have Ms. Divine Irakose. Divine Irakose is a youth and a refugee advocate, a member of She Leads Kakuma, and currently a student, Brigham Young University, pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in International Studies and Global Affairs. Divine is a published lawyer who aims to raise awareness regarding issues affecting refugees in her work. And our final panelist is Mr. Charles Kotongo, who leads the work of the Division for Inclusive Social Development, which seeks to strengthen international cooperation for social development. Among other things, the division monitors national and global socioeconomic trends, identifies emerging issues, and assesses their implications for social policy at the national and international levels. The division supports the organization of the Second World Summit for Social Development. So let's quickly begin with the intervention. We're already running late by 5 minutes. I'll request Alejandra, what are some of the challenges or barriers you have faced or identified as a young person or youth organization, movement, and network when taking action on social development? And how can government, UN entities, development partners help to overcome these barriers? Alejandra, floor is yours. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here. My name is Alejandra Tentle. I'm an Afro-Mexican, Afro-Indigenous woman from Mexico City. I was born in Tepito, Mexico City, considered to be one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the country. From the moment I came into the world, I've had to confront the social and structural issues that colonialism has left on our territory. The capital, racism, patriarchy matrix we experience in the region is experienced differently depending on our geographic and historical contexts, often denying recognition of the African diaspora culture in this territory. That despite the fact that it's present in our food, drinks, music, dances, and more. In this system, our hypersexualized bodies suffer street harassment, unwanted touching, and a form of discrimination that deeply marks our experience of self-identity and how we live our daily lives. In my country, 70% of women have suffered some sort of gender-based violence. There's a lack of disaggregated data that would shed light on the intersectionality of the violence we face as both black people and women. Moreover, the violence is so widespread that losing a loved one, a family member or friend, is a common experience. They disappear amid impunity that criminalizes, threatens, and kills those who speak out. And as an activist, I am at even greater danger. So I'd like to ask, what are the implications of this context for social development? On the other hand, gentrification and labor precarity have led many young people to turn to crime and even drug trafficking as a life path. Migration is the solution for many too, and that has shed light on racism and xenophobia. On the one hand, people and harm caused by the system. This must be considered when creating public policies that this needs to be genuinely collaborative, so that we can create the right public policies which minimize gaps among social groups, drawing on the knowledge of these groups and their forms of organization. We also need ethno-educational processes in the language of those being served. We want to break off from the hegemonies created by colonialism and ideas that laws, we must rather highlight the idea that laws must respond to the contextual needs of the community and not the other way around. This would pave the way towards a much more representative form of social development. We also need transparency in the use of financial resources, and we need to have real fiscal justice for collection and distribution of financial resources. Finally, let's never forget the reason why we're here today. We have a common cause, social development. I'd like to call for promotion of ethics in work and intergenerational work as well, which is vital to allow us to fulfill our role as drivers of change. Let's not hold back those working for the same ideals. Let's rather learn from what makes us different, and let's let youth point us the way forward. We cannot make progress in social development without understanding the past, and the past isn't the past without a future. Their achievements are our achievements, and we must never forget that together we can accomplish much more than we ever could alone, learning from one another within the community and serving the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Elendra. I also strongly believe that lack of disaggregated data is something which is a major thing, which also most of the other marginalized groups also kind of have been suffering because they don't have very specific data. So thank you. It was a wonderful and very powerful presentation and intervention. Thank you. Let's move to Divine. Divine, how can the meaningful engagements of young people, in particular from the marginalized communities, be further strengthened and mainstreamed in social development and in process in implementation of the outcomes of the World Summit for Social Development?
Thank you so much, Naveen, and apologies if I get it wrong. Just like he said, my name is Divine, and I'm so honored to be here with you all today. I was born to Burundian parents in Tanzania and raised in Dzaleka refugee camp in Malawi, and youth-led initiatives directly. We are already solving problems in our communities. What we need are the resources to scale up our impact. So back in Dzaleka refugee camp in Malawi, as one way of addressing the challenges faced by the community, young people have taken initiatives to create youth-led projects, one of which is Dzaleka Youth in Action. So this is a youth-led community-based organization whose funding comes from the contribution of its members and other young people within the community who understand the struggles their community faces. It's important to note that the government of Malawi still prohibits refugees from formal work. So this means that regardless of their qualifications or experiences, refugees are not legally allowed to work formally. So however, despite relying on the small stipend they receive through volunteer work, these young people still manage to contribute financially and support their youth-led organizations, which in turn supports their community by providing the basic needs to support the most vulnerable in the community. So we saw a challenge in our community and acted to solve it. So we are leaders. And finally, we want to be treated as equal partners. We are not just stories to inspire. We are stakeholders. We are solutions. We are leaders of today and not tomorrow. We are not voiceless. It's just that our voices are not being heard. I'm here because I believe in a future where no one is left behind. A future where a girl from a refugee camp, a youth from a rural village, or a student in a city all have equal power to shape the world we live in. When young people are trusted and empowered, we don't wait, we lead. Thank you so much for listening and believing in young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Divine. That was powerful again. And creating youth-led advisory bodies at every platform is something we should all kind of demand for, not only for the marginalized communities, but across the globe for every community. And thank you for the powerful statement when you mentioned that we are not just story to inspire, we are leaders of today and tomorrow. Thank you, Divine. We'll move to Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles, can you share your perspective on the role of youth in shaping global social development, especially in the context of the upcoming World Summit on Social Development? What actions can member states take to ensure meaningful youth engagements in national and international policy making for social development? Mr. Charles, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naveen. Excellency Ambassador Krzyzewski, Vice President of ECOSOC, distinguished representatives, good afternoon. It's a privilege to be here with you in this session on social development and the role of youth, especially as we look ahead to the second World Summit for Social Development in Doha this November. In a moment of much-needed acceleration of efforts to achieve the vision, goals, and targets of the 2030 Agenda, the upcoming Social Summit is an important opportunity to reflect on progress, strengthen commitments, and shape policies that truly serve people. But we can't do this without young people. Youth engagement is a driver of sustainable development across all its dimensions. Across the world, youth are leading change, reshaping industries, pushing for more sustainable economies, and reimagining education and social policies. The idea that youth simply should be included in discussions.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Yeah, the full impact of youth engagement will only be realized only when they are fully engaged, till we have the policy and beyond, till towards its whole intervention and also engagement. But let's have a huge, huge round of applause. Those were very strong interventions from the panelists. Can we have a round of applause again for them? Come on over there. I can see a few people not like, are you lazy or sleepy? Or do you want to leave the room? Can we have another round of applause again? Can we see more hands from there? Come on, we are youth. Come on, he just mentioned we have more power. Yeah, thank you. There you go. Thank you. So before we move to the floor for reflection from the ground, I reiterate that this ECOSOC Youth Forum marks an important midpoint in this process and a chance to center our struggles, our solutions, and our power. And let's use this space to honor the work already done to advance social justice and push for bold, urgent, and inclusive actions. Young people from marginalized communities, especially indigenous communities discriminated on work and descent, migrants and refugees, LGBTQI+, Afro-descendants, and more, are not only demanding change, they are leading it. And this ECOSOC Youth Forum is one of the biggest examples of this. From fighting for economic justice to access to justice, from housing justice to climate action, from advocating mental health reforms to pushing back against misinformation, youth from marginalized groups across the world are shaping solution every single day. So let's have reflections from the floor. I would like to invite His Excellency Abdul Qasim Ibrahim Fomba, who's Minister of Youth and Sports from Mali. His Excellency, the floor is yours.
Okay. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. In October 2024, we had floods in Mali. There were 37,000 buildings collapsed and many, many thousands of people were impacted and infrastructure damaged, and kilometers of road and bridges. In addition to the work done by the state, special measures were put into place, including in the youth. Thanks to that, the youth can be invoked in helping those who have been impacted and in mobilization. Especially the young people are working in registering the families which are impacted, helping them recover.
Thank you. Now we have Ms. Yugratna Srivastava. Yugratna, what are some of the main findings and key messages coming from the youth preparatory processes leading up to the summit, and how can we center leadership of youth from grassroots? Yugratna.
Thank you very much for the floor, Naveen. I'm Yugratna, and one of the two organizing partners for the Major Group for Children and Youth, and very delighted to deliver this brief response. First, I want to highlight that there is what I would call a silent and sometimes overt battle being waged when it comes to youth representation in decision-making spaces. Young people living in poverty and those that are directly facing the impacts of multiple and compounding crises, whether that is climate crisis, human rights violation, or conflicts globally, are being spoken for certain actors that do not represent them. I call upon inter and intra-group reflection and ensuring that Youth for Social Summit process is direct, rights-based, universal, and equitable at all stages. ECOSOC Youth Forum today is an example of meaningful youth engagement, and perhaps the biggest example of meaningful youth engagement at the UN. This year, the ECOSOC Youth Forum expanded its core partners group to involve representatives from grassroots, minority groups, and youth constituencies relevant to the theme of the forum in direct leadership and governance of the forum. This forum also saw largest number of youth civil society participants, largest number of side events, including virtual side events organized by youth from grassroots communities without needing a member state or a UN partner, and bringing in real voices of the work that is being done by young people. Second, the problems that we see in society are also seen in multilateral processes. For example, in lead up to Summit of the Future, frontline voices were often consistently sidelined by large foundations and think tanks. We do not have the time or need for make-believe pseudo-coalitions co-opting rights holders. When it comes to broader stakeholder processes, we call for co-design and rights-based engagement. Any action days specifically hosted before the World Social Summit should be built off the best practices of the SDG Summit Action Days, managed by DESA. Additionally, youth constituency, as well as the broader civil society through NGO Committee on CSOCD and major groups, should inform the political declaration of the Social Summit, and we welcome the
Thank you, Ratna. Such a powerful statement, and thank you for the wonderful work you're doing. So now we have His Excellency Carlos Rosero, Minister of Equality, Colombia.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. Colombia has, for the first time in 200 years, a progressive government.
Thank you, His Excellency. I'm sorry. The freedom of speech in this hall is in the hand of the technology, so sincere apologies, but we also have to ensure that everybody gets opportunity to speak. Thank you. That was a powerful intervention, His Excellency. Now we have Ms. Liana Almani. Liana, what is the commitment of civil society and the NGO Committee on Social Development to supporting, sharing space, and amplifying the voices of young people within the upcoming summit?
Thank you, Naveen. Civil society has always been a driving force in holding governments accountable, pushing for transformative change, and ensuring that global commitments translate into action. As we look ahead towards the Second World Summit for Social Development, civil society is committed to ensuring that the summit does not simply reaffirm the promises of the 1995 Copenhagen Declaration, but builds upon them with bold, actionable policies that place youth and grassroots communities at the center. Without sustained civil society involvement, led by and in partnership with grassroots youth, the transformative potential of these commitments will remain unrealized. We recognize that young people are disproportionately impacted by social and economic inequalities, by lack of access to education and healthcare, and by the challenges of precarious work and housing. But we also know that youth are leading some of the most innovative, inclusive, and courageous movements for social justice in our time. The summit must reflect not only their lived realities, but also the solutions youth are advancing at every level. Youth are the creators of their own resilience. They just need the space and support to do so. Ensuring youth voices in all their diversity are uplifted, included, and considered in the planning and implementation before, during, and after the 2025 summit is key to the work of the NGO Committee for Social Development. We are doing this in a variety of ways, particularly by creating spaces and platforms which unite people and organizations across civil society and sectors to ensure we are able to effectively collaborate to influence the summit. In the lead up to the summit, the NGO Committee for Social Development is committed to prioritizing intergenerational dialogue, supporting youth-led advocacy and capacity building for meaningful participation in the summit, and fostering clear channels of communication between youth advocates and global decision makers. Thank you.
Thank you, Liana. We now have Her Excellency Ivana Antoni-Jevic, Assistant Minister at the Ministry of Tourism and Youth, Serbia.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates and colleagues, it is a great honor to address you today on behalf of the Ministry of Tourism and Youth of Republic of Serbia on the topic of youth-driven social development and inclusion. Social development cannot be mindful if it is not inclusive. It must recognize young people not only as beneficiaries of social support, but as key agents of change and co-creators of communities that are more equitable and more sustainable. Our goal is clear: to reduce barriers, promote equity, and empower youth-led and youth-serving organizations that work directly in local communities. We strongly believe that participation is the foundation of inclusion. That is why Serbia has institutionalized EU Youth Dialogue through the establishment of the Standing Working Group within our Advisory Council of Youth of Government of Republic of Serbia, an intersectorial body which brings together youth representatives and key institutions. Serbia remains the only country outside the European Union to have such a structured mechanism for dialogue between youth and decision makers. Together with Youth Umbrella Organization, we build capacities of local self-governments with aim to create local youth councils and to involve young people on the local level too. This is a sign of our dedication to ensuring that young people are consulted, heard, and included. We also work closely with civil society organizations and youth workers to build local support networks. By investing in programs, training capacity building, and awareness campaign, we support an environment where young people feel safe to express their identities, raise their voices, and shape public life. In this manner, we would like to mention that last year we supported 192 projects of civil society organizations and local self-governments. Serbia will continue to stand for meaningful participation and inclusive development. We thank our international partners who walk this path with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Her Excellency. So let's now hear from Ms. Veronica Brown. Veronica, what would a feminist summit on social development look like, and how could it deliver for women and girls in all their diversity? Veronica, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Naveen. Good afternoon, everybody. Excellencies, colleagues, it's a pleasure to address you today. My name is Veronica Brown, and I'm the coordinator of the Women's Major Group. I just want to underline 3 short imperatives from feminist civil society on the World Social Summit. The first is that we really need to institutionalize real multi-stakeholder participation in this process and in all the other processes that we participate in. Young people, girls and women, indigenous peoples, trade unions, disability, and LGBTQ+I networks must be a part of every stage of agenda setting, drafting, decision-making, not just invited for ceremonial remarks after the agenda is set. Our lived expertise can and should steer the summit's priorities, and our expertise should be a part of the work to achieve those priorities, keeping an intersectional lens within that. We need to center rights. Social development has been the neglected pillar of the 2030 Agenda. Doha is our moment to reclaim it by naming the links in the 1995 Copenhagen Summit that were left implicit, that SRHR is essential to achieve gender equality, and that gender equality is a cornerstone of all 10 commitments. That true social integration demands an explicit anti-racist agenda, and that climate justice is the enabling condition for every commitment. Every policy must uphold each person's right to development. Success must be judged by the gains secured for those furthest behind: girls, women, and gender diverse people, migrants, persons with disabilities, and rural and low-income youth, not tucked away as an optional annex. And finally, we must match bold vision with concrete accountability. We urge member states to resist turning Doha into a polite reaffirmation of 1995 and must grapple with today's realities: shrinking civil space, anti-rights back.
Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, indeed, Doha is an opportunity to claim. We now move to Mr. Daniel. Daniel, how can we connect social development and community mobilization to ensure the Second World Social Summit is driven by focus on justice and people power? Daniel, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Naveen. My name is Daniel Helmer from the United States. I'm the global organizer of a Global South movement called March for Our Planet that is poverty-led, indigenous-led, marginalized-led, and community-led, from youth to women to farmers and others, including small and developing states and more. This movement, led by the ideas of our historical leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi, Bhimrao Ambedkar, Martin Luther King, and those inspired by justice and truth, this movement is led by people, everyday people, who are ready to work towards truth and peace. It is our time now, and it is our generations living now, all of them, all the generations that have the moment to make our past leaders' dreams to be realized. And so now is the time to push and finally reach this goal globally, especially at this critical moment. Globally, the world knows we are in multiple crises. We are in a time of change, in an ocean of hurdles and obstructions. Harmony can be found and lost in a moment, from regional conflict to environmental devastation. And if we do not take the path of not just sustainable change, but of adaptation of global challenges today, which radically shift how our planet and communities operate in our environments, the world is headed towards dark times. Conflict and poverty, environment, and more, they are all connected, and what we seek together collectively is peace. It is not simple to do, but financial mechanisms are extremely important, that we create a just and equitable society. So we call out to communities across to begin towards elimination, towards the World Social Summit, and build together. And social development begins, in summary, social development begins at the community and the empowerment of the community through capacity building and knowledge sharing, and is the most important in preparing communities. And collectively in the world, it is a moment where we as people need to come closer. Communities are ready for youth and others to come and build in an equitable society and mobilize towards social development. Before we can all rise together to build peace, we must...
Thank you, Daniel. And thank you for acknowledging the efforts of Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. Ambedkar, and Martin Luther King. Thank you. Now I would like to invite distinguished representative of Mexico. You have the floor now. Thank you.
Thank you, moderator. Chair, colleagues. Mexico
reiterates its commitment to the 2030 agenda, recognizing that challenges in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals are deep and urgent. We know that these efforts can't only be made by governments. Having genuinely just, inclusive, and sustainable development requires collective commitment from all people, sectors, and generations. Education is one of the most powerful tools we have to harness this transformative potential. In this context, it's very important to recognize that youth have demonstrated that we are drivers of change. And in many spaces, we've shown our energy, creativity, and social commitment. Because of that, it is urgent to strengthen mechanisms bolstering our effective participation at every level. With 31 million young people, Mexico understands that speaking about youth isn't enough. We need to actively incorporate them into deliberations and public policy making. In developing the 2025-2030 National Plan, youth led specific proposals, which today are part of our state's commitment. In our progress, we'd like to highlight the Youth Network for the 2030 Agenda, created alongside the UN system and the National Institute of Youth. This network has allowed youth ambassadors to design sustainable solutions at local level with innovation in mental health, artificial intelligence, and democratic participation. Our approach is comprehensive. We have programs such as Youth for Transformation, SEED, Youth Building the Future, and Benito Juarez grants promoting education, economic inclusion, and social justice across our country. As youth, we have built Mexico throughout its history. The speaker's microphone is cut off.
Thank you very much. Now I invite Ms. Ananya Sharma from Soka Gakkai International. Ananya, the floor is yours. Ananya, I think the mic isn't working over there. Okay, let's move to the next intervention from distinguished representative of Qatar. You have the floor now.
أصحاب السعادة الحضور الكريم.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, youth, it is an honor to address you in view of this very important opportunity given to us to include youths from all over in order to discuss their problems and bridge gaps and discuss sustainable solutions that can be youth-led and can be implemented at the national and international levels to make headway with social development and ensure a brighter future. We call for national and international policies based on proposals from youth. They need to be included in development policies. Forums for dialogue between youth for social development must be established so that the second summit that is to be held in Doha in 2025 will become a launching pad for sustainable development that is youth-led. The inclusion of youth in preparations for the second summit for social development is of utmost importance. This forum must be an opportunity to ensure that young men and women partake in proposals that will be adopted. It gives us great pleasure to host this very important summit, which will be a great achievement, and we call on young men and women from all over the world to work together so that we can adopt an outcome document that can pave the way for great change. The future of social development is ours. We, the youth, must be the main builders of the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have the intervention from Ariana Seizt, representative of YATA, NATO, Canada, and student at University of Toronto? Ariana, the floor is yours.
Excellencies and distinguished guests, my name is Ariana Seitz. Thank you for the opportunity to be speaking at today's forum. I speak to you today not only as a youth advocate, but as representative of the millions of girls worldwide whose access to education remains unfulfilled. I'll start by highlighting the progress that has been made in the last 10 years. According to UNESCO, 50 million more girls have been enrolled in schools since 2015. Primary and secondary school completion ranks are steadily increasing, and more countries are making strides to close gender gaps in access and achievement. While this is promising and demonstrates that progress can be made with community mobilization, political will, and investments, we are still falling short for too many girls. Over 122 million girls worldwide are still being denied the human right to universal access to quality education, which enables individuals and communities to build well-being and prosperity for all. Girls who receive an education are less likely to marry young, more likely to lead healthy and productive lives, earn higher incomes, and are able to build better futures for themselves and their communities. Girls' education strengthens economies and reduces inequality, contributing to a society where all individuals are granted the opportunity to fulfill their potential. We must act now with urgency and purpose. We must invest in safe schools and the infrastructure needed to support girls and welcome their needs in classrooms. Moreover, the digital divide must be bridged. Given the rate at which we are progressing with technological advancements, access to education through technology is no longer a luxury, but it's a necessity. It's a lifeline which continues to disproportionately impact women, especially those in developing nations, because of systemic barriers such as poverty and gender discrimination. We must prioritize universal connectivity, affordable technology, and inclusive digital literacy programs to bridge the digital divide. I'll quickly finish with a quote from Malala Yousafzai that echoed in this very room in 2013. One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. But I'll add that this is only if every child has access to that education. So let us act now so the next generation of girls do not inherit the same barriers we failed to dismantle. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ariana. Can we have the intervention from distinguished representative of Azerbaijan? The floor is yours.
Honorable Chair, youth delegates, it's a great honor to address this platform as a member of the delegation of the Republic of Azerbaijan. The theme of today's forum, Youth Solution for an Inclusive Future, is not only timely, but essential. In the world where poverty, inequality, and social exclusion persist, it is clear that youth are not merely participants in development. that are leaders and innovators shaping the path forward. In Azerbaijan, we believe that meaningful social development begins with empowering young people through inclusive policies and opportunities. Our national youth strategy focuses equitable access to quality education, youth empowerment, and support for innovation and entrepreneurship. We have established youth centers and houses throughout the country, create space for learning, dialogue, and capacity building. These centers reach youth across urban and rural areas and promote inclusion, diversity, and participation. Recognize employment as a key pillar of social development. We are connecting young people to the labor market through vocational training, internship programs, and digital upskilling. We are also investing in youth-led startups, especially in sectors like the green energy, ICT, and sustainable agricultural, where youth can be against both economic growth and environmental sustainability. We are proud to share that in preparation in COP29 to be hosted in Azerbaijan later this year, we have taken deliberate steps to ensure youth inclusion in climate proceeding. One important initiative is the establishment of a youth house in the Green Zone, and our activities designed to be fully inclusive and accessible to all. Young people are not a problem to solve, they are the solution. For a future that is inclusive, fair, and sustainability, we must listen to youth, invest in youth, and trust in youth. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Before we move back to Ananya, I would request the speaker not to change the seats because then that disturbs the pattern. So we will request Ananya Sharma from Soka Gakkai International for your intervention. Ananya, the floor is yours.
Hi, sorry for the confusion that has been caused. Honorable Excellencies, distinguished guests, I am Ananya, and today I speak on behalf of one of the world's youngest nations, India, where over 65% of the population is under 35. But this is not just India's story. It's a shared global reality. Youth are not only the future, they are the most powerful force shaping the present. Yet, we continue to fall short in turning potential into opportunity. While half of the world's population is under 30, only 2.6% of them are parliamentarians in that age group. And 258 million children and youth remain out of school, many from underprivileged communities. This is not just a developmental failure, it's a human rights crisis. It hinders our progress on SDG 4, 8, and 10, and raises a crucial question. How can we claim to build peace or sustainability without investing in those meant to lead it? That brings me to SDG 17, Partnership for Goals. Every SDG hinges on how well we finance, empower, and equip youth. Yet, current solutions often stop at representation. They fall short on inclusion, long-term financing, and implementation, one of the examples for which was rightly mentioned by our very well panelists. There is a huge gap between rhetoric and resources. Youth-led ideas receive applause, but rarely sustained investments. Many startups of young innovators struggle due to lack of access to capital, mentorship, and political support. Let us scale financing models for youth-led enterprise. Let us build ecosystems that integrate education, digital access, climate literacy, and green skills. And let us center South-South cooperation and localize jobs where youth lead and benefit. As Dr. Daisaku Ikeda says, when youth awaken to their mission, they can transform history.
Thank you, Ananya. Thank you for the intervention. Can we have the distinguished representative from Spain?
Yes. Como nos ha demostrado.
Over the last few days of intense activity, we've made great progress in terms of youth and sustainable development on central issues such as climate justice, the right on organized youth in our country, and seeks to ensure that the voices of youth are included in all decisions and public policies which directly affect them. The youth department is no longer in a silo. It's now been mainstreamed and there's direct participation. Because of this, and because of the goals we've set ourselves in this forum, it's very important to have self-organization of young people, although that can sometimes mean that we are outside of rigid frameworks of institutions. That's why institutions need to be the ones to adapt to new organizational formats of youth rather than the other way around. Youth are a mirror of the diversity of our societies, and because of that, policies need to be genuinely inclusive, and guaranteeing the participation of all is key. Upholding the political rights of youth is the best way of making democratic headway in a global era when that must be one of our priorities. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have Janani Ganesh from Millennium Campus Fellow. You have the floor now.
All right. Excellencies, fellow changemakers, and youth leaders. My name is Janani Ganesh, a behavioral neuroscience and public health student, and the founder of the Eco Mobile Market, a youth-led initiative tackling food inequality through sustainability and innovation. In the community that borders my university, I've seen how families in underserved communities struggle to access healthy and affordable food. That's why I launched a pilot version of the Eco Mobile Market, a mobile food initiative that brings excess locally sourced nutritious groceries directly to communities in need. We partner with local farms, work to reduce food waste, and host sustainability workshops, all while building trust and community resilience. The pilot has proven what we already know. Youth-led solutions work, but scaling them requires investment, infrastructure, and trust. So today, I'm calling on leaders in this room and beyond to 1. Fund early-stage, youth-led initiatives like Eco Mobile Market because pilots are proof of potential, not the final product. 2, create youth innovation accelerators that support food justice initiatives from ideation to implementation. 3, involve youth in shaping food systems policy, not as tokens, but as partners with lived experience and bold ideas. Social development isn't just about responding to crises, it's about transforming systems. Let's stop asking youth if we are ready to lead. We are. What we need now is support to scale. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Distinguished representative of Japan, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Chair, for giving us the floor. My name is Ririko Noda. I am a youth delegate from Japan and a member of the Japan Youth Platform for Sustainability, a youth-led policy and advocacy group dedicated to achieving meaningful youth engagement. As a Japanese youth delegate, I acknowledge the great privilege I have to be where I am today. My country is one of the world's wealthiest in terms of GDP, known for cutting-edge innovation and vibrant cities. However, we still grapple with many hidden issues that tend to be overlooked by these statistics, such as youth poverty, gender and regional inequality, and the burdens of a rapidly aging society. When we look at the Sustainable Development Goals, we tend to focus on evidence that we can quantify. While this is essential in measuring our progress, we must not lose sight of what cannot be measured, the lived experiences and voices of real people. To prevent the marginalization of minority voices, we must continue creating space for all individuals to share their truths. Those of us with the privilege to speak must do so, not instead of others, but in solidarity with those who lack the platform and agency. We have endeavored to do this by organizing youth consultations and channeling voices from underrepresented areas into national policy dialogues. This must happen on a wider scale, both nationally and globally. This is how we uphold the central promise of the 2030 Agenda, to leave no one behind. As we strive toward a socially inclusive future, youth-led solutions must be placed at the center of policy discussions. We must ensure that all voices are heard. Only then can we foster active cross-generational dialogue that moves us closer to equity and inclusion for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's have Samay Kamil, Major Group of Children and Youth. Samay, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Naveen, for the floor. I'm speaking on behalf of the Major Group for Children and Youth to outline some next steps and requests for youth engagement towards the Second World Social Summit. As MGCY, we're spearheading a youth-led roadmap towards the summit, having facilitated youth participation at ECOSOC D63, alongside a children and youth position paper. Last year, we also launched a dedicated youth working group for the social summit, convening more than 1,000 youth groups globally. This work will continue. Moving forward, First, the Voices of Youth report from this very ECOSOC Youth Forum will have a specific section on the World Social Summit, and we will call upon member states and the Social Summit Secretary to take up these recommendations. Second, we must build on the momentum and convening of the ECOSOC Youth Forum and call for strengthening of youth civil society engagement at the third committee of the UNGA, including hosting a dedicated youth-led youth forum for UNGA third committee as a pre-event to the next ECOSOC Youth Forum. Third and finally, we are organizing a series of decentralized youth assemblies in lead-up to the summit and share our intention to host a global youth assembly on social transformation before the summit in Qatar. We call for support from the host country and co-facilitators and UNDESA at the same time. Let us build on the momentum of the social summit, put young people at the center, and deliver real change. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the powerful intervention, Samir. Wonderful. Let's have distinguished representative of Iceland. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Your Excellencies and fellow youth delegates, in our review of the implementation of Agenda 2030 and the SDGs, we must look at their central promise and guiding principle, to leave no one behind. If we are to fulfill this promise, we must ensure truly inclusive societies where every individual has the opportunity to engage and participate in advancing social development. However, inclusion is being greatly challenged by growing backlash to fundamental human rights, diversity and equality. In light of these challenges, our priority must be to push forward and defend the progress that has already been made. In this regard, it must be recognized that many initiatives that aim to defend and accelerate our process to truly inclusive societies are in large part driven by young people. This showcases the unwavering power of young people to take immediate action to ensure not only an inclusive future, but an inclusive present. From the Icelandic perspective, we remain committed to promoting and defending human rights for all. This commitment can be seen in Iceland's focus on the rights of women and girls, LGBTQI rights, and the rights of children and youth in the United Nations Human Rights Council. Moreover, in order to respond to inclusion challenges, namely in adapting to increased diversity within the population, Iceland has implemented policies that aim to support the integration of immigrants and refugees and advance inclusive education. Dear colleagues, in order to effectively advance social development, we must address and dismantle structural barriers, ensure that youth-led initiatives have access to necessary resources, and defend and promote inclusivity and fundamental human rights for all. Takk fyrir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we have Alia Munshi? The floor is yours.
Bismillah. Thank you, Moderator, Excellencies, and fellow delegates. My name is Alia Munshi, an Indian Maiman youth raised in the UAE. Two diverse regions that shaped my commitment to inclusive and sustainable development. Young people make up 16% of the global population, yet we face higher unemployment, limited access to education, and exclusion from decision-making. Girls and young women are particularly affected, often at the intersection of multiple inequalities. But we are not just defined by these barriers. We are already leading. From climate solutions to community resilience, youth are advancing social development in powerful ways. To unlock our full potential and accelerate the SDGs, we need systems that recognize and resource youth leadership, especially for girls and marginalized communities. I call on the member states to invest in youth-led innovation in green, digital, and care economies. Second, ensure equitable access to education and women as co-leaders in development, not just as beneficiaries. The future isn't something we inherit, it's something we co-create. The question is no longer if youth can lead, but whether the world is ready to let us. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished representative of Singapore, the floor is yours. Distinguished representative of Singapore, the floor is yours. Is it working now? Can we have the, oh, okay, it's working now. Yeah, please.
Great. Thank you.
In Singapore, we believe that the best solutions for youth concerns are created by youth and with youth. And that is why we introduce programs that put youth in the driver's seat of partnership, such as youth policy panels, as well as youth advisory committees. In fact, earlier today, the Singapore government just published a response to recommendations from 4 youth panels on financial resilience, careers, digital well-being and sustainability, and committed to work with youth to implement the recommendations.
In the Sky Ideal, it is the best bet policy that saves lives. We already know what works. Let's make youth partnership not just best practice, but a global standard of care.
Hi, I'm Aizam, a youth delegate from Singapore. I serve on the Job Hacks Youth Policy Panel, a policy platform where young people collaborate with government to create policy solutions. I see my role as a bridge that connects people, youth, policymakers, and communities while bringing together our shared dreams, aspirations, and goals for a brighter future. It's also my chance to inspire and be inspired by other young people. Through this journey, I've come to realize that together, through empowering even more youth, we can lead the way in creating the change we desire and hope to see in the world, and that the future is truly ours to create. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can we have Ali Mustafa, International Organization of Youth? You have the floor now.
Thank you. Excellencies, colleagues, and fellow young change makers, social development is not a privilege, it is a right, yet millions of young people are locked out of that right, especially for youth in underserved and marginalized communities. Today, I speak for those who are absent, for those who have never stepped inside a school building, who lack internet access, and whose voices are excluded from both in-person and virtual rooms like this one. At International Organization of Youth, we see youth not as beneficiaries, but as builders already creating solutions, leading change, and developing inclusive models of development in their communities. Fellow youth delegates, let's build an ecosystem, not based on aid, but on trade, a trade of skills, resources, and collaboration across borders, backgrounds, and sectors that no one can take away from you. We call on this institution to recognize youth as partners in decision-making, invest in youth-led solutions, especially those led by young people from Global South, develop youth-inclusive social protection systems, and open civic space for youth leadership online and offline. We must take UN to the people and bring youth from grassroots into policy-making spaces like this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ali. Thank you. Let's have distinguished representative of Germany. You have the floor now.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, young people do not question multilateralism. They rely on it, and they actively advocate for it. Across Germany and around the world, young people are not waiting for change. We are creating it. Throughout innovation, activism, and inclusive thinking, we are building bridges where there used to be barriers. Germany is taking steps forward. In 2023, the German Federal Youth Council and the Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action launched a coordinating body for youth participation on climate issues. Its goal, establishing effective platforms for dialogue and ensuring the meaningful participation of young people in the formulation of climate policy. Since then, young people have been systematically involved in the ministry's climate policy process, enabling them to contribute their perspectives, concerns, and demands in sustained and targeted way. Through regular briefings and updates, continuous and transparent communication is ensured. Furthermore, public funding facilitates more efficient, inclusive, and affordable capacity building opportunities for young people. As a result, diverse perspectives from members over 30 German youth organizations are gathered and jointly articulated in policy statements addressing current policy developments. This inclusive approach represents a significant step forward in placing youth-led solutions at the forefront of climate action. That is why we call for the provision of dedicated government funding to support meaningful and sustained youth participation in the ministerial processes. It is not about symbolic participation, it's about partnership, it's about recognizing the voices of young people, not as secondary, but as essential to every decision shaping our shared future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you to each and every one of you, our speakers, member states, youth leaders, and participants for bringing your truth, your fire, and your vision into this space. What we have witnessed today is not a dialogue, it's a declaration. And young people are not just beneficiaries of development, we are the architects, we are the defenders, we are the frontline fighters. From policy to protest, from grassroots organizations to global decision-making tables, we are already shaping the future. And let me say this very, very clearly as a youth on behalf of communities discriminated on work and decent, indigenous youth, refugees, persons with disability, and every single beautiful, brave, and brilliant person in LGBTQIA+ community. This is our space. This is our time, and you have to hear us now. We'll not be silenced, we'll not be sidelined. Together, we will fight for our liberation and dismantle the structures that continue to perpetuate inequality and injustice. As we move towards the second World Summit for Social Development in Qatar, let this session be rallying cry. We demand a world where our voices are not just included, but centered. Where our lived reality shape the policies that define our future. Social development is not a side issue. It's the foundation of peace, dignity, and justice for all. So thank you all. Walk with us, stand beside us, and we'll see you on the road to Qatar, leading way. Nothing for us without us. And let's have a huge round of applause. I'm sure you don't want to clap after every 2 seconds of intervention, but this is the last one. Let's have a huge round of applause. Come on, more. Harder. Don't stop now. You don't have to clap any further. Thank you. And now I hand over to the president of ECOSOC to close the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator, for guiding this discussion, and of course our panelists for their powerful testimonies and presentations, and all you all for participating. And sorry for those who were pressing the buttons but didn't miss the chance to really take part. But that's the time limits that we are actually